Shaver.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Vikings Extra on this Sunday night. And it seems the Viking crew has plugged up the holes of the ship. The ship's now been righted, and the Vikings are back on course tonight. They beat Arizona 31-14 at the Dome to raise their record to 8-2, and they looked pretty good at times doing it. First quarter, Culpepper dumps it off to Robert Smith. Screen pass, but look at the blocking downfield. Smith goes 33 yards for the touchdown. Vikings take an early 7-0 lead. Second quarter.
Has a good feel in the passing game.
Cardinals linebackers intact for the first time in over a year today. Second down and 6. Culpepper looking for a receiver. The Cardinals doing a terrific job in coverage, but Culpepper has an answer as he runs for the first down up to the 45.
Well, he was looking right away to the outside with Randy Moss. Now, this is where Aeneas Williams takes it completely away. Gets the jam, stays right on him, no place to go. So he pulled it back down, and he went over to Chris Carter. Chavis is right on top of him. Now, here's the difference in the play. Culpepper sees one, now back to the other side. It's man-to-man. So what do? The defender's backs are turned, turn the corner, and get the first down. Good quarterback play.
And he's broken Fran Tarkenton's Viking record for most quarterback rushes in a season. Play fake on first down from the 45. He gets hit, and the pass caught anyway by Randy Moss in the open field. And he gets to the 32. So Culpepper took the punishment from Pat Tillman coming in and completes it to Moss for 23.
I disagree with you, Dick. This might be the first time that you could legitimately throw a roughing the defender. When the guy lets him bounce off point, Tillman hits him, doesn't do anything. Culpepper's standing there and makes the throw perfectly. And then again, here we go. Get the ball down the field. They caught him in that zone. And Aeneas Williams was sitting off, and then he was able to run back underneath.
I can never remember a quarterback, he's 255, who would let the defender bounce off him.
That was funny.
Like a flea.
We have a flag. Roughing the defender on the quarterback.
Redskins last week, continuing that. Vikings with a first down at the 21-yard line, leading 10-7. Here's Robert Smith. Robert Smith. First down again. Close to the 10-yard line. Lassiter, the last line of defense on the stop.
He had a nice stop at the last line, but it was a good job up front by the offensive line of creating that space for Robert Smith. You're going to watch this right side. You got Corey Stringer, David Dixon, Matt Burke, all three of them. Everybody on somebody, and Kleinsasser with a really good job of picking up the backer. Now watch the end right there. That's a good hit by Lassiter.
So the early going of the third quarter, the Vikings coming down the field with a first and goal at the 10. Robert Smith up the middle. A lot bigger and stronger and gets inside the 5. Mal Tosi making the tackle. It used to be Horde and Smith and changed the pace on offense, but mostly it's Smith now to great success.
I think Robert Smith looks bigger to me. I mean, I said something to him earlier. He always kind of downplays things whenever you do. I said, Robert, you look thicker to me. And he wouldn't say anything, but I did talk to Steve Wetzel, their strength coach, and he confirmed the fact that he's about 10 pounds heavier than he was a year ago, and it's all muscle.
Second and goal at the 4. Came into the game with over 900 yards gained. Here's Culpepper flipping to Moss for the score. Randy Moss held to 2 receptions in the first half, making his 9th touchdown catch of the year, and the Vikings on the verge of opening up a 10-point lead.
Watch Randy Moss. He's going to go inside. Now, once he has the defender to the inside, there's a cushion. This short of field, you're not going to be able to cover him. You can't stop him. And it was also good the way they staggered them, because what that does to you defensively is it forces you to give a cushion, because you have to wait for the offensive player to define themselves.
Gary Anderson, and flags are down, 3 of them to be exact. Bob McElwee
jumping the gun inside on Arizona.
So Randy Moss with the touchdown catch, gained 130 yards through the air last week.
As we look at this, I still
spot and is perfect as he has been with conversions all year. So the Vikings, with all of those weapons, Culpepper, by the way, with 2 more touchdown passes today, now has 19 on the year, and the Vikings lead by 10.
Succeeding.
Look at the Metrodome from above as the Vikings on their first possession of the second half. Culpepper was perfect, and Moss, the recipient of a 4-yard flip from Dante Culpepper, and it's 17-7 in favor of the Vikings, who will now kick off.
Consent is prohibited.
There's one happy Minnie Moss to the left and one concentrating Randy Moss to the right. But in the words of the immortal Dr. Evil, you complete me, Minnie Moss. I love you, Minnie Moss. That's a happy guy. I love to see that.
Cardinals from the 20, and this is the loudest the Metrodome throng has been all day. Plummer has it deflected, looking for the screen pass to Lance Sawyer. Got a piece of it.
I think there was a mix-up there because they were expecting a screen to the left side. Michael Pittman was in on the block, and he can't block. He's got to be the intended receiver on the left side. Comes in, boom, see that? He tried to get a shot on Lance Sawyer, like you mentioned, Dick, and because he did, he took himself right out of the play.
Plummer is 11.
Picking up about 6. This is going to go against the Arizona Cardinals, but Dick, that play was made right there by John
Randall, because they were going to try to. He was going to try to throw down the field.
Oh, yeah, that's the first down.
That's what I'm talking about.
Can't get enough football? Grab a Miller Lite, and anytime is Miller time.
Who's calling these plays? Put in the backup!
A series to watch coming up right now with 8:03 to go in the third, and the Vikings leading by 10. They have their best starting field position right now, the 38-yard line. And the fake on the reverse, Robert Smith on the carry. And Robert Smith, thanks to terrific blocking by Harold Morrow, gets a first down and rambles into Cardinal territory for a gain of 21.
Morrow had a nice lead block, but it wasn't going to happen unless that front side did his job first. You can see Davis is there, and just an all-around good effort by the right side of that offensive line. And then Morrow, like you said, is able to hold it off. But Tillman does a good job of playing the...
Jake Plummer, who had nowhere to go. John Randall's not had a lot of sacks
or tackles, but he has his presence been felt all game long. He's schooling that poor young tackle Clement over there. He has just been, you know, a typical John Randall. He beats him with the spin to the inside. There's a penalty which I didn't like. Another spin. See, what all he's doing, he's waiting, gets a little hug, little help from his friend there. It's just a matter of speed, and then he'll combine speed with that spin move, and all that means he's just going to give the tongue back to Clement.
Move from under tackle to defensive.
That trio right there, you can see the guy in the middle, Chris Carter. He's a coach on the field for both those players. And what it does for Chris Carter is it gets them on his page, but it also reminds him of what's going on out there in the field, because he's got to be right in his explanation as well.
And, you know, he advises or talks to Dennis Green as well, and Green listens to what Chris Carter has to say.
Should. He's a really good football man.
After the timeout by the Cardinals, 3rd down and 20. And the screen set up to Pittman. He's got some blockers, and Pittman is going to be stopped well short of first down yardage by Tyrone Carter. Fumble on the play.
We don't see anybody.
And let's see if it was blown dead.
There was a memo that went around that says, in the event that there's a question between down by contact or fumble, let it go for a fumble.
Vikings get it.
And then they could always challenge it.
So Tyrone Carter was right on it from the beginning.
There's the hit by Carter. Oh, that's a fumble all the way. That's a good call by the officials.
And Robert Tate is going to come up with it. And the Vikings.
Watch Robert Tate. Now, he's in coverage to the outside, and he sees the ball inside. that's just good hustle. That's good hustle and running to the football. And that's invaluable, as is the hit from Tyrone Carter.
Coming into this game, the Vikings had the fewest takeaways in the NFL with only 8. Now they've got one. Good field position on their 45.
Look at Steve Burrell out of Carolina, fumbles the ball here. Take a look at Keith Mitchell. Alertly picks it up. He takes it 90 yards for the score, protecting it a lot better here. It was reviewed, but it stood. Second return for a touchdown in 3 weeks for Keith Mitchell. 14-3 Saints. Back to Dick and Matt.
Pretty impressive defensive play by the Saints.
They're playing with a lot of confidence, Dick.
Came in only a game behind the Rams, unbelievably so, as Culpepper looking for Moss. He's got it down the sidelines and out of bounds at the 25.
What a great play by Culpepper in being patient, because Aeneas Williams was all over him. He got his jam early, stayed with it, rode him, and Culpepper had the confidence that Moss would remain and get open. Because, I should say remain, but that he would work to get open, because Aeneas Williams was all over him. And right as Aeneas Williams released him, watch this jam. The ball's in the air. That's great confidence. And so that shows you right where that little conversation on the sideline, where that pays dividends.
Gain of 26 yards, and again they keep it on the ground. Robert Smith and McKinnon making the tackle, but not before Smith getting get that touchdown they didn't get before.
Now that is not limited just to all that coaching and talking to the sideline in the game. It goes on all game long. And as you look at most of these pictures, the guy who's going to be doing most of the talking is Chris Carter right there. He'll try to get them all on the same page. He's played for such a long time, and his game is about
100 yards a game.
That's
so
just
that's
right.
legitimate.
That's big time. 1,500 should be the standard by which guys are judged now in a 16-game schedule.
3rd and 7 on the 22 of the Cardinals. Caught by Moss. First down at the 5. The elusive Randy Moss, who only had 2 catches at halftime, now has 6 in this game.
Well, watch Aeneas Williams, how he holds the outside. See, he's holding the outside because he's expecting some help to be to the inside. Kwame Lassiter got a little bit too high. Was playing up inside. Moss took advantage of that. Now, when you're a corner, you have to know where your help is coming from. So he played it that way. He held the outside, forced him to the inside. Now the safety has to blow him up.
A lot more.
Brendan McDaniel, number 64, was the left guard, and then the center. They also lost both of them down to Tampa Bay. That was Jeff Christie. When they lost them, he had to retool, and he's done a fantastic job with this offensive line.
3 tight ends for the Vikings. 2nd down and goal, and here is Culpepper, and he knows he's going to walk in. Touchdown, Vikings. So he has thrown for 2 and run for 1.
That, Dick, goes right on the shoulders of Sherm Lewis, their offensive coordinator. That was really a good call. They're having great success. Their offensive line schooling everybody, and you just use that against the defense. Watch Pat Tillman. He knows he's got a nose for the ball, but he knew it. See his head down? He was disgusted that he bit.
5th touchdown on the ground for Culpepper, and Gary Anderson adds the extra point. And the Vikings now lead it by a score of 24-7. Culpepper with the rushing score as the Vikings try to make it 10 in a row here at home.
The fact that I'm responsible for the upbringing of another human being is utterly ridiculous. How did this happen? Suddenly, I'm the one saying, don't touch the cookie on the ground. When I'm really thinking, 5-second rule. That cookie just hit the ground. That cookie is still good.
8 Central tonight on Fox.
Vikings able to capitalize on a Cardinal fumble and score. Arizona has forced 2 turnovers by the Vikings today, but have not been able to counter. as you look at the scoring drive. 24-7 in favor of Minnesota. First down for the Cardinals on their 22. Crowd goes up a decibel. Out of the shotgun, Plummer. Low snap. Pressure put on by Sawyer, and the ball is loose. It's a free ball, and Plummer recovers, but way back at the 36-yard line. To Lance Sawyer was not to be denied, and Randall also getting in on Plummer, and fourth down coming up.
These offensive tackles for the Arizona Cardinals have not had a good day with speed on this turf. This is Shelton, the rookie. Sawyer got to his top shoulder. Once you're there, you're beat. You are clear beat. Now watch John Randall. See, he tried to grab him to pull him back so he couldn't get there, but a good effort by Plummer.
3, and Dante Culpepper, a scrambler of sorts, reminds you of a former Viking quarterback who used to scramble. Who else? Well, here's Culpepper doing his magic. A lot bigger than this guy, Fran Tarkenton.
Yeah, but the result is the same thing. And it's the way you do it. You know, in the beginning, Fran Tarkenton was looked at as so unconventional that that's not the way quarterbackers played in this league. Now let's fast forward 30 years, and that's what everybody is looking for. The stuff that Fran the man had, the ability to make you miss and still make a play.
Second down and 6. Mo Williams is into the game, but Culpepper looking to throw. And he fires it out of bounds, and the flag comes down from the secondary.
This is on Chavis. It was not a complete double move, but Chris Carter saw Smith he has those receivers outside that demand such attention that sometimes he can get lost in the whole equation, and that's where he kills him. Culpepper sees something he likes to try to take advantage of it. He's got 1-3 and man-to-man outside.
Second down and 5. Culpepper's got a chance downfield. He's got it. He saw it and got it. Chris Carter. And the down by contact was Carter. So the Vikings will keep it, and they'll get another first down inside the 30-yard line.
That was on the shoulders of Dante Culpepper, and actually what it was his vision.
Catch. Down by contact is ruled first down.
23 yards on that pass play.
Watch Culpepper at the line of scrimmage. Now he knows what he wants, so they go with a little bit of play action, trying to hold those people, and then he knows the inside, because they were in that one deep safety, the inside is going to be open, and he took advantage of it.
9 catches for 103 yards for Chris Carter.
They're gonna challenge us. The Cardinals will. They're gonna say that he wasn't down, but once they point to
first down at the 29-yard line, Robert Smith back in there with 100 yards today. Smith finding an opening. The offensive line opening up just enough for Robert Smith. Another first down to the 15. Right now, let's check in with James Brown in the game break.
Howie Long. They recognize that this team is playing much better. I mean, and I believe it. They have a couple of players they have to get healthy, and then they need a few more pieces of the puzzle. But McGinnis has done a good job.
Third down and 8, and the pass to Carter. Touchdown. Both officials agree that his feet were in the end zone. And Chris Carter, who has caught more touchdown passes against the Cardinals franchise than any other team in his career, that's number 13. And that's where he is on the all-time list of touchdown reception.
There's 55 more to go. This is a good job by Culpepper staying with it. Now watch the concentration. 1 foot in. You know, Chavis is right there. The ball's the only place it could be. That's a good football play all the way around.
12-yard pass play. 30-7 the score. Gary Anderson makes it 31. So Dante Culpepper with 3 touchdown passes and running for 1 hits the veteran with 3:45 left.
You were legally cloned.
Fox Tuesday.
It's 31-7 at 24 unanswered points by the Vikings, and all of their stars have played a role. For Carter, his 100th touchdown with Minnesota. Culpepper with 3 touchdown passes, giving him 20 on the year. And Robert Smith, Randy Moss, and Chris Carter.
Kickamus, Maximus, Buttimus. Madden 2001, now on PlayStation 2. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Back here at the Metrodome with 3:18 to go in the second half of our doubleheader, the St. Louis Rams go against the New York Giants in the feature game. Both teams 7-2, and the Rams playing without Marshall Faulk,
who I happen to believe is the most complete player in this league, probably the league's MVP. He's going to be out for a few weeks. In fact, what's happened with him is they've had to replace him with more than one guy. And Trung Canada, the rookie #1 pick that they picked up, but they were counting on a lot to play, will get a big show this week in New York on that grass. And then Justin Watson, the other guy, they're going to split those things. Trent Green, of course, is playing, and he hopes to put numbers up like Dante Culpepper did today.
And the rookie Ron Dane, who's had a successful rookie year. And the Cardinals will use up their last timeout. And the Vikings, with a prolific offense, they've got weapons, and they used them all today. From Robert Smith with a 33-yard catch and run for a touchdown, to Dante Culpepper finding Randy Moss. Culpepper himself running for a touchdown. And then Chris Carter with his 100th touchdown as a Viking. They all were involved today big time.
And now, of course, we're going to show all those guys to the outside. But for my money now, Dick, as you look at those offensive leader numbers, you have to go back and look at the offensive line. And those men are the key, because they opened all those holes for Robert Smith running. They gave protection to Dante Culpepper, and they allowed the time for the receivers to be able to find those holes in the various zones and man-to-man coverages. So
making the stop on Mo Williams, and taking a look now at the offensive line. 159 rushing yards, only 1 sack allowed.
Part of that is getting rid of the ball and the movement of Culpepper. The bigger part, though, is that this offensive line here, they played pretty darn good. Stussy had a couple of problems on the outside.
2:22 to go. The Cardinals will take over on downs.
My son Marcus is with me up here in the booth, and he just whipped out a Mitch Burger bar. It doesn't look very good. That's ugly. The heck is that? That is not a good thing.
Well, if you would feed him better, he wouldn't resort to a Mitch Burger bar, which I understand a lot of people think it's awfully tasty and it goes to charity, which is really the purpose of the whole thing.
That is the whole key.
And now a fumble by Jones, and the Vikings claiming that they have it back. We'll wait for an official's call, and it is Minnesota ball. So Jones caught the pass and lost it, and Lemansky Hall, number 55, recovered for the Vikings. So after only 8 takeaways coming into this game, low in the NFL, they've got 2 of them here in the
When you lose in this league, it's tough to come out of it. And losing 2 tough games, we knew we had a tough schedule going to Tampa, and then also going back to Green Bay, division rivals, and they, they beat us. And anytime you get into a slump, your confidence is not as high as when you're winning. And in this league, it's tough to come out of those slumps. That's why teams can lose 4, 5, 6 games in a row. Good teams. It's easy to do in this league.
We were sitting at 7-2, but we weren't feeling real good because we had won the first 7. The last 2 we had lost, so now being 8-2, we feel better. Coming off a win, we know that this stretch coming up is real crucial. The next few games, starting with Carolina next week, if we can win those, we put ourselves in real good position for the playoffs.
I think now, it's getting close to playoff time. You can't really say that a guy's not looking ahead, because I think a lot of people are, including our coaching staff. So, we just got to really bite down and take one game at a time. And when we have a couple big games coming up in the second half of this season, we just got to bite down and hopefully win.
Well, after 2 shaky games and a less than spectacular first track, Eric Perkins has more on Dante's day and what it could mean down the road.
Their start isn't exactly this fast, but they do march the opening drive 85 yards on the Cardinals.
We talked about setting the tone and coming out and, really making them understand that we were here, for business this week.
They reached the end zone on a not too threatening looking screen pass, but for the second straight week, Robert Smith shows this play is every bit as dangerous as a bomb to Moss.
On that touchdown, actually, those guys were yelling out, "Here comes the screen, here comes the screen." It just didn't matter. If you get the right people in the right place, it doesn't matter if they know if a particular play is coming. If you execute it the way that it's supposed to be executed, you're still going to be able to make something happen.
It's the first of 3 touchdown passes on the day for Dante Culpepper. The only real flaw, this second quarter interception.
I just made a bad throw. Fundamentally, I think I locked my knee out and the ball just took off on me a little bit. That really wasn't a bad decision, and it was just basically on me.
Dante recovers nicely, picking the Cardinals' tough secondary apart with passes underneath.
Catching a lot of balls across the middle and really trying to get a lot of first downs. It's the kind of game we want to get a bunch of first downs and create some momentum for ourselves.
Carter and company hauling in plenty of first half balls, but Randy Moss is relatively quiet, guarded by one of the NFL's best cornerbacks in Aeneas Williams. After a long drought, Moss speaks to his quarterback.
I came over there and talked to Dante a little bit. It might have been a little bit of yelling going on, but we call that talking. There's a lot of things out there that you could tell that I was frustrated toward the first half.
The talk works. Moss gets the ball. The result, a 17-7 lead.
I tell Dante time and time again, dog, you work with the best. You know what I'm saying? I told him when he's on the field, I said, you think Jake Plummer would like to have them or have us?
Both Moss and Carter wind up with over 100 yards receiving on the day. Culpepper throwing for over 300. But the play of the game comes in the fourth quarter when number 11 fakes out just about everybody in the dome, his 5th rushing TD of the season.
It just shows that, everybody working together with one agenda to get the job done. And, I look out there and there's nobody there. I knew it was 6, and I was ready to go over and get sideline and get a drink.
The bootleg helps give Arizona the boot. The Vikes now are back on track, and nowhere is that more evident than at the quarterback slot. For the Vikings Extra, Eric Perkins, KARE 11 Sports.
Absolutely. Take a look at these numbers tonight. Culpepper just missed on 7 passes. Of course, he had 1 picked, 25 of 32, 302 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Plummer didn't throw any interceptions, but he didn't do much to help his team either. No touchdowns on the day. Carter with 11 catches, 119 yards and a TD. Moss over 100 yards as well. Running, Robert Smith. It was a workhorse kind of day. 117 yards on the ground. His touchdown was off of that screen pass. Robert Smith's 117 yards pushed him over the 1,000 mark for the 4th straight year. That's a Viking record, passing former star Chuck Foreman, who had the previous mark at 3 years in a row. The Vikings are the #1 rushing team in the league, and today they earned it.
Robert Smith calls football a collision sport, not a contact sport, and there was a lot of collisions out there today. But the Arizona Cardinals found out Smith is nearly impossible to stop and even harder to contain. He had only 1 run over 20 yards. This one covered 21, but Smith still ended up with 117 yards on 20 carries. He passed the 1,000-yard mark for a 4th straight season, a Vikings record.
I mean, we feel great about it, but the thing we feel best about is getting that win, get back in the winning column, and 2 in a row, 2 tough losses on the road, and we knew it was going to be a big game, obviously, today. Whenever you're playing within the conference, it's a game that you want to win.
But as you know, many times when Robert knocks off 100, he will be a 40, 50, 60, 70-yard run. And so he really had to work hard for all his yardage today. He did a very good job with it.
It was a workhorse-type effort, the kind of effort Smith gets every game from his big guys up front and blocking back Jim Kleinsaucer. Together, this group has established the Vikings as the top rushing team in the NFL, and all parties take great pride in that.
Without Robert, we'd be one-dimensional, and we'd be seeing safeties staying back in cover 2 all day long, and it'd be a lot more difficult to move the ball. But the fact that Robert's, I consider Robert our primary weapon right now. He's playing that well that we set up the game by running the football, and then the big plays over top happen because of that.
He's better this year than he's ever been. He's running so hard, and he's so determined. And, it's like Robert he's been our star, I'm just happy for the guy.
Robert, he's just phenomenal. I mean, to hand the ball off to him, it takes a lot off of myself and the passing game, because when you have a weapon like that, and he's just going to make plays. He's a great athlete, and I'm just thrilled, and I'm very happy to have him on my side, because you can't put into words how much he means to this offense.
Smith did it all today. Watch the screen pass for a touchdown. The play covered 33 yards, and afterwards Robert had to laugh about it because Arizona read the play. They just couldn't stop it.
On that touchdown, actually, those guys were yelling out, "Here comes the screen, here comes the screen." It just didn't matter. If you get the right people in the right place, it doesn't matter if they know if a particular play is coming. If you execute it the way that it's supposed to be executed, you're still going to be able to make something happen.
Smith admits to being a much smarter runner now than 5 years ago. He says experience has taught him when to turn on the speed and when to wait, and that's made him one of the best in the league.
There are times when you can take that too far, when you can just try and run too fast every time you get the ball, and I think that's the biggest difference for me. You have more time than you think and less time than you think, basically, I guess, when you have the ball. But you need to be patient, and you need to set up blocks, and you need to know where blocks are coming from. And a lot of times that can really make a difference between a 5-6 yard gain and a 20-30 yard gain.
Today, Smith didn't have the long runs, just the ones that add up to a very important win.
Well, they certainly do, and the Vikings now are sitting at 8-2, and not to slight the defense tonight either. They did a great job putting pressure on Jake Plummer today, holding Arizona. Yes, their offense isn't high-powered, but they held Arizona to 14 points, actually to 7 points because they had a kickoff return for a touchdown. Tampa Bay 6-4. They won today, beat Green Bay, and the Lions squeaked one out against Atlanta.
Fox 29 and Super America invite you to do the do for a meet and greet with John Randall.
That's me.
Stop by the Mountain Dew display at any participating Super America. Fill out an entry form and send it into this address. 29 winners and their guests get to meet John Randall, have their picture taken with him, have it autographed, and more. Plus, appetizers and beverages will be available. John Randall announces the winners every Sunday at 11 a.m. in the Fox pregame show.
Go to SA and do the do today.
From Mountain Dew, Super America, and Fox 29.
Number 93, Eric Swan, number 98, in for Carolina. Vikings on third down with 3 wide receivers in the game. Have to get to the 27 for a first down. Culpepper going deep for Randy Moss. Touchdown!
Right over top of Jimmy Hitchcock. Jimmy Hitchcock wanted this matchup. He was looking forward to it all week long. Hitchcock got caught up like most DBs do in Randy Moss, and he was looking back at the quarterback instead of playing the ball.
And did you see Chris Carter tap him on the back? Hitchcock, the former Viking, was outspoken this week. Upset with his departure from Minnesota. Randy Moss burned him. 10th touchdown for Randy Moss.
The defense had him right where they wanted him to, but Moss opened up that can.
Another great throw by Dante Culpepper. Gary Anderson to tie the game with the extra point. The Vikings answer right back. The big playmaker, Randy Moss, gathers in the pass from Dante Culpepper. The game is tied.
Hello.
Take a look back at this touchdown. Here's Rashard Anderson, the safety. Now Moss is out here. It's third down, and I have no idea why you would drift in here. There is nothing in here from anybody that should bring your safety anywhere but right over the top. What is he doing in here? I don't care who is over here. There is nothing that should bring your safety away from Randy Moss in this situation.
Is that a rookie mistake by Rashard Anderson?
It's a mistake, period.
Well, the rookie got over late, and Randy Moss burned him. Michael Bates.
That's right. For Carolina, we've seen Damian Craig line up back there. We've seen Bates. We've also seen Hoover. And Hetherington was in a one-back set.
Pick up a 4 on the play. Bates comes to the sideline. William Floyd out with broken ribs. Tamanga Biakabatuka out with turf toe. They hope to have him back next week. Burline being rushed. Ball is knocked loose. It's a fumble, and let's see. Vikings have it.
Johnny Randall.
Burline lost 3 last week, and he loses 1 here. Randall forced it to Lance Sawyer, recovered it.
Johnny Randall working outside on Chris Terry. Takes his hands right away from him from the get-go, and when he loses his hands, Terry, he loses the corner, and Randall has a direct shot at the ball and Burline.
And Sawyer wins the battle underneath to get the football. He's not the first man there, but he got it. Vikings from
A little bit here. Over here, you're going to see John Randall on Terry again. He beats him, and inside there's Talance Sawyer. Now watch this conversion. And there's poor Steve Berline. I mean, this guy he gets dumped all the time. I mean, the offensive line, heck, they ought to start yelling paper or plastic. He's been sacked so many times.
Look at that. In the last 5 quarters. Paper or plastic, huh?
Yeah, I mean, heck, this guy.
What protects you more? Berline back on 3rd down. The pass was tipped, almost intercepted, and a flag goes down. Wayne Rudd dropped it.
Yeah, and that's a tough situation. And when
57, defense, 5 yards, automatic, first down.
Denny Green signaling that the ball was tipped, that it should be okay, but that's a holding call, not an interference call.
Choice. He came out of nowhere. He had no practice time last year, no game experience last year. In training camp, they had no idea what they had in this guy. And then he just comes out opening week and has set the NFL on fire.
They spotted the ball at the 37 on 1st down. It's Robert Smith. Cutting it up inside. Nice pickup. Up to the 47, 48-yard line. Smith can run with speed, he can run with power, and he runs with brains.
Yeah, and when he gets a seam, he can get by you too. That's the thing he is. Watch him just wait and wait. He's waiting for that block there and that block, and then he goes, you know what? I'll just take it. Watch him use Chris Carter and his guys downfield. He sets up one way to take the defensive backs over the top, uses the blocks, comes back underneath.
Picked up 9 on the play. 3 wide receivers are in. Troy Walters, number 82, shifting. Fake the end around. Culpepper drops it off on a screen for Robert Smith. Big pickup down the sideline. Looking for a block to go all the way, and he does.
Oh, yeah. He can catch the ball, too.
And turn it into a touchdown. Chris Carter had a big block on a 53-yard pass and run. Robert Smith does it again. Right now, I think he's the best all-around back in the NFL, Bill. With all due respect to Edgerrin James and Marshall Faulk, I think he's the best.
And he's got a nice supporting cast, too.
Gary Anderson for the extra point. The Vikings, after giving up a touchdown on the opening drive, have scored 2 of their own. The high-powered offense is in gear. Robert Smith with 305 yards receiving, a career high for him.
You know, there really is no defense for a screenplay. The entire defense is responsible for that, and John Marshall, that's his philosophy on it. Screens and draws, your defense has to account for it. And when this thing gets outside, Randy Moss is downfield. Chris Carter's that comes all the way across the field and gets a block as well. Offensive linemen are out there, but you need your chase people. And where they didn't get those chase people from was the defensive front 4. Here's Moss up here. Here's Carter. Moss is going to come in here, get a block downfield. Carter's going to work across and get a block. But watch, see where the defensive line is? Now they're all trying to catch up, but it's too late for Robert Smith.
Outstanding job. You know it's coming, Bill, and yet it's so hard to defend. Why is that?
Well, one thing is when Randy Moss is on your side, he's clearing out. When he runs downfield, there's going to be a few DBs following him down there.
7-yard line. Antonio Banks, number 30, making the tackle. What a season it's been for Robert Smith. Came into this game with 1,025-yard rushing yards, second in the NFL. 25 catches for 252 yards coming into this game, and you saw him catch the screen pass, that patented catch last week. He turned it into a touchdown as well.
Well, they have a couple different ways they run it, and they're pretty creative. But what they do is each in one of those cases, they create some kind of mismatch or separation and get Robert Smith into that hole in the separation, and he's gone.
Earlier this season became the Vikings' all-time leading rusher. To the end of the first quarter, the Vikings leading the Panthers 14-7. Minneapolis, the Vikings take a 14-7 lead in the second quarter. A big offensive line of the Vikes has done a good job.
Season for minus 274 yards.
Most in the NFL. That was John Davis in motion. This side comes Robert Smith.
What a
big hole. Smith picks up a block from Moss. Goes down to the 36-yard line.
That's why he's the engine. The knees pumping, the pistons going. You can take away the deep passing ball from this offense, but you can't take away Smith. Look, they got 8 guys in this thing. There's 8 of them up here, and watch him cut. See, he sees a position, he waits on Matt Burke, the center, and when he makes his decision, it's a split decision. I mean, it's just bang and gone.
How about the blocking of the offensive line?
They've been fabulous all year, and that's a credit not only to them. I think they're a better offensive line than they were last year. Matt Burke has really played exceptionally well. On Randy Moss and where he's going to go. And the second he starts drifting into that open area in the middle, somebody's got to close on him.
Pickup of 23. They spotted at the 14. 3 wide receivers for the Vikings. Smith on first down. Cutting it back. Gets down close to the 5, and a flag goes down.
He'll have a chance at it, too. He said, play the ball, not Moss. Just don't let him outside of it.
Second and goal for the Vikings, still with 3 wides. Faking the end around, they go inside for the touchdown. Robert Smith.
Moss was the decoy that time. Moss was the decoy on the end around. Eric Davis trailed him on the play and ran right by Robert Smith.
7 touchdowns on the season for Robert Smith, his second of the game. The first one with a screen pass, this one the run up the middle.
I'll tell you, as a defense, they are frustrating to play.
They've got all the weapons. Gary Anderson for the extra point. Pittsburgh bird across the 30 as the Vikings don't want to give up the long return. Well, you talked about Mike Tice, the offensive line coach, being such a motivating force for the Minnesota Vikings.
Sink down and cut them. All right, use your hands. All right. If you're a little overzealous early, shorten your steps down. Shorten your steps down, okay? So you're not flailing out there, all right? Hey, be relentless. Let's show everybody who's the nastiest line in the league, all right? Right here in our house, all right?
They've been pretty nasty. Overzealous, that was a pretty big word for Mike.
He's a former quarterback. He can use those words.
That's what helps him with knowing the protection so well.
Brad Hoover.
And then there's Burline.
First interception of the season for Robert Tate, second of his career. On first down, it's Robert Smith with another big hole. Out to the 28-yard line. He picked up 18 on the play. Robert Smith continues to rip off big chunks of yardage.
Ripping off. Ripping off is right. And I'm going to tell you where it starts ripping off. On the offensive line to that side, Sam. They sealed that perimeter to the left side, which would be the weak side of the formation. That's the weak side of the offensive line away from Randy Moss. They ran there, and they sealed the wall off.
It's already accounted for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns, 9 carries, 67 yards. Here's Smith on first down, taking it outside, slips a tackle, gets to the 31-yard line. This is not a Halloween photo.
No.
This
Remember
is Chris Hovan.
Remember you were talking about rookie mistakes?
Yeah.
See, that's a rookie mistake. See, he came out and he tried to put on that eyewear that John Randall wears, but then he got his glove up there and he started rubbing his eye and he's sweating, and before he knows it, it's all over his face.
He obviously does not have our makeup lady working for him. Out of the shotgun on second down, Culpepper goes outside. Chris Carter. A first down at midfield, his 3rd catch of the game. Second in the NFC in receptions. The numbers continue to mount for this future Hall of Famer, having another great season.
Did you see the catch he made last weekend in the back of the end zone?
Yeah.
This guy is absolutely amazing. There's nobody else that I can recall ever seeing that makes the catches he makes on a consistent basis make it look so easy.
His awareness is incredible. Out of the shotgun from midfield, Culpepper looking. Fires and completes to Carter again at the 41-yard line. Vikings have 2 timeouts remaining in this half. Oh, this is the one you were talking about last week, Bill.
Yeah, in the back of the end zone, and to the awareness you talk about, there's the one foot, and then there's the other one, and he does that all the time. I mean, I believe that referees don't even check to see. I think if Chris Carter catches the ball and it's anywhere around the end zone or sidelines, they just say catch.
Spotted at the 42 on 2nd and 2. Culpepper being rushed. And down he goes. Mike Rucker. The ball pops loose. It's a fumble, and it is recovered by the Panthers. Reggie
box. Then you can concentrate on what comes after that. You can get in your 3rd and longs, you can rush the passer, and you can bracket coverage to 2 big receivers.
Vikings go from the shotgun, 3 wide receivers in, 5 DBs for Carolina. Culpepper gets time and goes deep down the sideline. He's got a man, and it's Matthew Hatchett. No, it's Chris Carter. It's Carter. Eugene Robinson, 2 veterans going at it, and Carter wins that battle.
Well, Carter, here he is in the slot. He comes outside. He's working on Jimmy Hitchcock and slows him down. And that's just enough to get past Eugene Robinson. That little stutter step right there that you saw from Chris Carter was enough to freeze the safety. And then the acceleration back out of it got him by the safety.
And Culpepper's delivery has been outstanding. 53-yard pickup. Vikings go with 2 tight ends. Robert Smith. Nice hole. Cuts it back and is down at the 15. Randy Moss has gone over 1,000 yards receiving this season for the 3rd consecutive season. And he is only the 2nd player in NFL history to do it in his first 3 seasons in the NFL. John Jefferson did it with San Diego 1978 to 1980.
Well, to do that, 1, you've got to be a pretty talented receiver, which he is. 2, you need a pretty talented quarterback, which he has. And 3, a system that goes along with it.
Mo Williams in the backfield with Robert Smith. And they drop the ball. The dive is on. Back, but he's active for today.
Take a look at Hovan. One thing he tries to do is he tries to be the first to get off the line of scrimmage. Now, that time, he actually got hooked, Sam. Now, you don't like to get hooked. And hook block that's when the offensive lineman gets over top of you and you're sealed off. But what he did was use his quickness. As soon as he got hooked, he shot the back door and made the play from behind.
Have to get to the 37 for a first down.
And Corbin Lucina tried to get the stretch on him up top, and Gilbert just pushed him down and closed.
11th play of this drive. You see what the Vikings have done on 3rd down for the season and for the game. They've got to get to the 9-yard line for a first down. Culpepper with time goes to the end zone. Touchdown, Chris Carter. Put another one in the record books for Chris Carter.
The Minnesota Vikings are so good at wide receiver that they make it look like you didn't even practice for them the week before you play them.
15-yard touchdown pass, his 101st touchdown reception as a Minnesota Viking. He is 2nd all-time in touchdown receptions to Jerry Rice. What a marvelous receiver. What a marvelous player Chris Carter has been. And Dante Culpepper continues to deliver his passes on target. 11 plays, 81 yards, and Culpepper to Carter for a touchdown. Here in Minnesota. Thanks, JB. We've come to the end of the 3rd quarter. And the Minnesota Vikings lead the Carolina Panthers 31-14.
Sunday is brought to you by Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. By Juno Online Services. Join the millions. By Capital One. Capital One. What's in your wallet? And by Dr. Pepper, your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper makes the world taste better.
Minnesota were out there ready to defend that play.
Now it's 11 against 11. Panthers, empty backfield. Burline under pressure. Randall's got him. 5th sack of the game. Second for John Randall.
That's just power right there. This whole pocket is going to come down around Steve Burline and John Randall. That's a bull rush right through number 70, Chris Terry, and right over the top of Burline. Terry was a defensive end in college when Adam Meadows left to go to the pros.
Coming up, the Vikings and Cowboys fight for the coveted Turkey Leg Award. John and I will be back.
There's only one thing that's going to stop and fill my stomach and will take care of my hunger. That's a world championship.
Perhaps the moisture splash out of the turf. The Viking defensive front four, Talance Sawyer, Tony Williams, Chris Hovan, and John Randall now playing left end. 3 very mobile linebackers, McDaniel, Wong in the middle, and Dwayne Rudd. And the secondary, Robert Tate and Kenny Wright, the cornerbacks, Carter and Robert Griffin. The leader of the secondary, 2nd and 8. Smith again. To the line of scrimmage. That's about it. Chris Hovan made the stop.
And the Cowboys are trying to come out with that.
The Turkey Leg Award that we were talking about. The first winner was Reggie White.
Reggie White, and as you said, that was a couple teams ago because that was when Reggie was with the Philadelphia Eagles. Later, of course, went to the Green Bay Packers, and now is with the Carolina Panthers.
And that's why I really struggle with a wet football or with the brand new football.
Emmett Smith is backing off to the races. Emmett to the 40, to the 30, to the 25, still on his feet. Emmett Smith to the 8-yard line. Kenny Wright finally dragged him down.
Have another type of shoe for wet artificial turf, and about 6 or 7 of the Vikings are down there on the bench right now changing into a different shoe.
This is wet artificial turf. Here's Culpepper. Picks up about 4 or 5. Who's the only owner?
Yep, right there, the owner of the Minnesota Vikings, Red McComb.
With his coach.
Yep,
and Randy Moss.
Randy Moss. That's a pretty good group. They're still a good combination, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Red McCombs is one of the good owners in this league and has done a lot to help this team. Look at the ball control. This is what the story is of this game so far.
Roberts.
Yeah, he's a heck of a coach. He's turned a lot of programs around.
1st and 10 Minnesota at the Dallas 45. Smith around the corner and out of bounds. Shoved out by Ryan.
Probably too cautious. And they're throwing a little caution to the wind because look at what people have done to him. Of the biggest rushing days this season, 3 of them, Deuce Staley, Charlie Garner, and last week it was Jamal Lewis, have been against the Dallas Cowboy defense.
Jamal Lewis, if they had left him in the game, could have been over 200 as well.
Oh, yeah, he'd still be gaining. I mean, you'd need a calculator to count him up.
Here's Culpepper. Steps away. Firing deep for Moss. And Moss may have come up with it. And they did catch it.
That's amazing. They had 3 guys on him, too.
Yep.
Because you always do that when the quarterback rolls away. They always have Randy Moss go deep on the other side.
He's falling down to make this catch.
But look at this. There's 3 Cowboys there. 1 short, 1 on him, and 1 deep. Although they're all kind of frozen. And see, he just waited for the ball. More guys get close to the ball and don't do anything. I mean, they get caught up in Randy Moss, and they let him just catch the ball more than any receiver in this league.
Totally under control, Randy Moss.
See what Culpepper, that was a heck of a throw. Left side of the field, Culpepper rolled his right.
Dallas.
And not only threw it that deep, but he threw it all the way across the field.
That could change the complexion of everything so far.
Yeah, that was some chunk. That was what Randy Moss used to say. Hey, dog, just chunk it deep. And he always, Randy Moss, in fact, Dante Culpepper was telling us the other day, is always open deep.
Timeout, Dallas, coming up on the Visa halftime report. Dallas coming up on the Visa halftime report. JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will have first half analysis, highlights of the Patriots-Lions game. And then we'll be back here for a live performance featuring American Music Award nominee Jessica Simpson and country music phenomenon Billy Gilman. It's all coming up at the half.
Yeah, just watch this throw again. Here we see Culpepper here. Now watch him. He's going to roll out to his right. So he goes all the way to his right, stops, and then throws back. Now everyone is going to roll right when Culpepper rolls right. And when he does that, they always put at the backside of his roll, they always have Randy Moss go deep, either an up or a post.
Radio Shack. Again, a happy Thanksgiving.
And that's in our booth here, Pat. And that's a turducken. That's a six-legged turducken. Now, I'm going to cut it at halftime. You cut it right down here this way, take all the legs off, then you cut it this way. So then you have a slice. You have turkey, dressing, duck, dressing, chicken dressing. And I'm going to cut it. I'm going to go. We'll have it at halftime.
Have you got time at half?
Oh yeah. Just whack it right down the middle and then whack it sideways.
Here's Robert Smith looking for the end zone, and he got there. Smith touchdown.
Boy, is he a combination of the things you have to be a great running back. He has size, he has power, he has strength, and he has speed and movement.
And he has a huge offensive line in front of him.
Those are pretty good ingredients. Look at some of the moves that he's going to make down there. I mean, he's going to start off here on the left side. He starts inside, then he cuts back outside. Now, he has a little patience. You want to have patience to the hole, then burst through the hole, and then patience again to let your blockers get there. Now, watch Chris Carter. If there's going to be a big run, a touchdown run by a back, a long run, there will be a block of a wide receiver. Chris Carter is not only one of the top receivers in football, but he's also one of the good blockers. That wasn't a great block by Chris Carter, but last week he had a great block.
It was a screen. It was all Smith needed as the Vikings capture the lead 10-6. The Cowboys have dominated, but the Vikings lead.
And the guy that he was talking to there is Randy Moss. You know, Chris Carter was talking, in that pregame special where Pam Oliver was doing a thing on Chris Carter, and he was saying that what would he like to have out of football? And he said he would like to see Randy Moss and Dante Culpepper be successful, and say that somewhere in their life Chris Carter crossed their path and helped them out.
I think both of them could say that. Robert Smith just slips him and gets into the secondary, and down the sidelines is Smith. He, I think, stepped out of bounds inside the 5 at the 4.
But I'll tell you, that was some run. I mean, that was all the things that we talked about earlier where he had a little patience, then he had the long stride, and the long stride equals the speed. Watch him. He starts to the right here. Then he got the burst right there. Then he makes a move to the outside. Now watch these long strides right here. I mean, each stride takes about 3 yards. I think he stepped out of bounds just before he went in about the, where'd they put it, about the 7-yard line.
And again, he's so deceptive that you think you've got the right angle, and you haven't.
But where the speed is a long stride. I mean, if you have a long stride and you take a lot of them, you're going to be faster than most people.
You certainly are, especially if you take it more often. 10-9. Timeout, Minnesota.
But if you look right here, you'll see on the 8-yard line where his foot stepped out of bounds. It was that close, but it's a full foot. I mean, his full foot was out of bounds.
2nd and goal. 2nd and goal at about the 7.5.
You wonder why when you play the Cowboys, you just don't kind of run every down.
Yeah.
And you remember you got Chris Carter and Randy Moss.
And you got to keep them happy. Here is Culpepper. Sitting back to throw in the end zone. Moss, touchdown. Now this one might be questioned.
I'll tell you, he was double teamed too. I mean, that's the confidence that Randy Moss has to catch it, and the confidence that Dante Culpepper has to throw it. He was double covered. He was on the back line, and Dante Culpepper had plenty of time. But you're going to see Randy Moss, see the time. Now he's back here. And you see that he has double coverage, but it doesn't make any difference. I mean, he can jump and move and catch and do all those things and beat double coverage.
And no challenge. The extra point is
look
kicked.
at those hands. I mean, he just catches that with his fingertips.
Yeah. Now let's check out his feet.
Yeah, see, he has the ball there. He has possession. 1 foot down, left foot down. He got both feet down.
Yes, he did. No challenge at 17-9. Dave Campo was informed today that he'll be back next year as the Cowboys head coach. I'm sure he's a little bit more at peace. Not that he was ever in danger. Here's Emmitt Smith again. And Emmitt flashes into the secondary. The ball's loose, and Emmitt grabs his head. Lance Sawyer comes up with it. Emmitt grabbed his head on the way down when the ball flew out.
When he was right behind Solomon Page. Now we know that Emmitt Smith always carries the ball in his left hand, and then at the end of the play he wraps his right hand around it. You see Ed McDaniel, number 58, came in from the side, and you watch 58. He's going to not only knock the ball out, but he looks like he hits him head to head. Or maybe when he hits him in the head, that knocks the ball out.
He sort of got sandwiched in between.
Yep, that was Ed McDaniel. I mean, he came and put the whack on him. And Talent Sawyer was the only guy there to jump on it.
And Emmitt still down, moving his arms.
That was quite a blow by Ed McDaniel.
Really,
and he had quite a run at it, too. I mean, it wasn't a run right at him. He came across the field.
And there was no give on the other side because he was sandwiched in between two Vikings.
It was him right there. In fact, he did get say it was Robert Griffith was on one side and Ed McDaniel on the other side.
People take. There's Emmitt Smith, who's sitting up now, so that's encouraging. He grabbed his head after he was hit on the way down. Now he's up, but he really got sandwiched between Griffith and McDaniel.
Yeah, Robert Griffith, the strong safety, was the first guy up there, and he hit him with his shoulder. Ed McDaniel came in from the side, and it looked like helmet to helmet. Now watch Robert Griffith there with his shoulder. He hits him here. Now that doesn't knock the ball out. Now watch right there.
That's
see
helmet
the
to
contact
helmet,
right there. And that's when the ball comes out after that. And Emmitt Smith kind of goes down. As you said, he was grabbing his head or his face mask before he went down. I think that shot there when Ed McDaniel hit him, I think that knocked him out.
I think it did too. I think he was out on the way down. He was smiling just a second ago, though. And they're taking him, I believe, to the locker room.
Yeah, and and rightly so. I mean, he was, as you say, he was hit by Robert Griffith first, and then it was we were saying the other day, even to him, that he looks younger, and he looks better, and he looks stronger, and he looks faster than he's ever been. I mean, if a guy has a secret to aging or not aging,
Chris Carter,
I think it's Chris Carter.
He's a heck of a player. Here's Robert Smith. And let's send you down now to D.J. Johnson.
Hey, Pat and John, a sight you're not used to seeing, Emmitt Smith being taken off the field like that. I got to see him in a tunnel. He looked over at one of the trainers and said, "Was I knocked out?" And the trainer told him, "Yeah." And he started laughing hysterically. But then the other trainer told him, "You lost the ball also." He's like, "Oh, I can't believe it. I got knocked out and lost the ball." But I tell you what, he was smiling, he was clear-eyed, and he seems to be okay. Back up to you, Pat and John.
He can't believe he lost the ball. So that means he was out on the way down.
Don't get fooled by that smiling. There's a lot of guys that have been smiling when they're knocked out and didn't know they were knocked out or smiling.
Culpepper with plenty of time again. The pass is... Here's Culpepper and Moss.
Millions of people have seen the future, and now you can own it.
Against Baltimore, the Cowboys missed 21 tackles, and that was part of the problem. I mean, part of the problem, they were really overmatched against the Ravens.
Yep.
But they did miss a lot of tackles. Today, they've missed 9 tackles so far, which is an improvement.
Mo Williams is in front of Robert Smith in the Minnesota backfield. Culpepper looking and throwing as far as he can throw, it looks like. And the pass is caught by Moss. Touchdown. He is absolutely amazing.
Where Felipe Sparks was right there, everyone is right there with Randy Moss. And somehow they just get mesmerized.
And how does he get his feet down at the end of this?
I've always said I would throw 2 a quarter to this guy. 2 passes deep a quarter, because all you have to do is throw it up there, and he's going to come down with it. I mean, he bumps a little, and then he not only knows how to come down with it, how to catch it, but where his feet are. Look at this concentration. He has possession, and he has both. I don't know. I can't.
I don't know.
Yeah. Here's the feet now. We're going to see it. It's where that white line meets the blue line.
Still, I can't see his feet.
No, we don't see the feet there. So you have to.
This one is going to be challenged.
It's all about possession, the hands and the feet. You have to have both the hands.
Gave up a touchdown catch, the first touchdown.
Yeah, to Quadre Ismail.
Yeah. And now this one, and he's had good coverage on both of them.
As good as you can. See, he's going to go to the Super Bowl that year.
Anderson's extra point is good. Now that touchdown by Moss, those last 2 touchdowns by Moss are just a remarkable athlete making plays. The Vikings 27, the Cowboys 9. Fox NFL Sunday from Dallas will continue after a word from your local Fox station.
You're watching a Fox NFL Thanksgiving Day special.
Jay Johnson.
A few minutes ago, you saw Randy Moss make a spectacular catch in the end zone. He did that a couple of weeks ago against Buffalo, and we asked him about it. He said those kind of catches he learned from the master of the sideline, Chris Carter. He said Chris told him, first things first, you secure the ball, let your feet drop, let your body go limp, and it should be a touchdown. That one, perfect example of what Chris Carter taught him. Back up to you, Pat.
Thanks, DJ. You can do that all at once?
If you're Randy Moss, I guess you can do it. And Chris Carter could do it, too.
2nd and 5. 2nd and 4 make it. Over to Smith. Robert Smith doesn't get the first. Gets a couple of yards. Stopped by Darren Hambrick.
There's something that's amazing, Pat. This is the Vikings' 27th straight game with more than 300 yards in total offense. And that's the most since the 1949-50 L.A. Rams. And it's the 2nd longest streak ever. So, I mean, and they're doing it with, we talked about earlier, in essence, a rookie quarterback, Dante Culpepper.
Those L.A. Rams had the elephant backfield. They had Crazy Legs Hirsch, Bob Waterfield, Norm Van
Brocklin, yeah.
Tom Fears. They had some weapons, too.
Jensen, that's not getting it done. You got to squeeze that hole.
Jensen, this isn't college. It's time to show what you got.
If I get beat this time, cold ones for everybody.
Make it a Coors Light and you're on.
I can taste it now. Done. Ready, Junior? Bring it on.
Ready!
All that. Rookie, meet the coach. The old man.
Out of the way, Malone. You're never going to make a block with your center up. Keep it down. Your head up. Your back straight. Keep a leg under you. Drive!
Don't forget my beer, Junior.
Coors Light, frost brewed at the edge of freezing.
Like I said, Coors Light for everybody.
Jensen, no hard feelings.
It's not exactly my feelings that hurt, sir.
He's a power
team that's on the verge of winning the Central Division.
Robert Smith.
With a big gain here and a screen pass there, Robert Smith has become an MVP candidate.
And on his team he has Dante Culpepper.
You've got that answer, kids. Next on Vikings Live. Special for another reason, because there will be a little more purple pride in the building than normal. The Vikings are celebrating their 40th anniversary in the NFL, and some of the legends, the guys who built this franchise, will be here tonight, and they'll be honored at halftime. Guys like Fran Tarkington, Alan Page, Paul Krause, and Bud Grant. Names from the past that stir great memories: Rashad, Jordan, Eller, Marshall, Blair, and many, many more. Many of these former Vikings will watch the game from the sidelines tonight. Some of them might feel like jumping out onto the field for one last hurrah. We're going to hear from some of those legends a little later on. Well, we have our primetime crew all primed for the action tonight. Eric Gisselson is standing by the Vikings locker room. He'll have the very latest on the game. Kathy Gerhardt's with me down in the field, and she'll talk a little bit more about this 40th anniversary team. Also tonight, Ed Cairo shows you how Kylie Wong is shooting for a Super Bowl trophy and a Pulitzer Prize. Tyrone Carter has gone from maroon and gold to purple and gold. We'll investigate the origin behind some of the Vikings' nicknames tonight. For more on that, let's go to Eric Gisselson by the locker room. Giss?
Well, I think the history a lot of Viking fans are anticipating tonight is the 1,000th career catch of one Chris Carter. He needs 5 catches tonight against the Detroit Lions to reach 1,000 and move him into second time on the all-time receiving list. Number 1 is Jerry Rice. The history a lot of people do not want to think about tonight is this perhaps being Chris Carter's last primetime regular season game. CeCe had a heart-to-heart talk with Denny Green about his future next season over this past holiday weekend, but the topic of that conversation has been top secret. Now, an informal survey amongst teammates gives CeCe about a 50-50 chance of returning. However, those odds could be less when you take into account that it is very important for Chris Carter to get out of this game he plays on his terms. In other words, he does not want the game to pass him by. He does not want his skills to diminish to the point where he cannot contribute. He has very high standards. I think with that said, the chances of Chris Carter coming back for a 15th season next year are even less than 50-50. Joe?
Record in the NFC is they lead the NFC in rushing, and one of the main reasons behind that is a big, strong offensive line, and I'm with a big, strong offensive line coach, Mike Tice. Mike, are you confident that you guys can run the ball against anybody in this league?
Well, we feel like if we execute and use good technique, be physical and aggressive, we can run the ball against most teams in the league. You know, we've had some challenges this year. You know, 34 defense is a little bit tough to run against, and tonight will be a challenge. There's a very good front seven, great defensive linemen, excellent linebackers, and you know, they got a little banged up in the secondary at the safety position, so that might help us in the running game some. But we feel good about our running game.
This team seems to have an extra swagger, kind of an edge to them that maybe the team last year didn't have.
Well, these guys work extremely hard. This is a good working football team. They have confidence because they're prepared and they work hard. And you know, preparation breeds confidence, and these guys like to work hard, and that's helped us.
Corey Stringer is having a Pro Bowl type year. I know you like what he's doing.
Corey's been most consistent this year as ever been. You know, had the rough outing in New England with the knee, but I tell you, he's playing physical. He's finishing. He's leading the group, too, on and off the field. And I tell you, we're real proud of Corey Stringer right now.
All right, Mike, best of luck today.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Mike Tice, the offensive line coach. We're just getting started. We'll hear from the crew at ESPN up next. Plus,
Vinatieri, he's a clutch field goal kicker. With the upright. No good!
a missed field goal, an interception, a fumble.
The ball loose and Emmett grabs his head.
All the hours of preparation, all those plans down the drain. The pressure, the anxiety, the heartbreak. It's enough to make a grown man crumble.
Well, you can see why. I mean, the stress and the pressures of making sure you put your players in the right positions. And then when it doesn't pan out, it really wears on you.
Dick Vermeil was the first coach who admitted he was a candle in the wind. He burned out when he was in Philadelphia. 15 years later, he made a triumphant return and led the Rams to the Super Bowl title. This year, Bobby Ross was the coach who had the meltdown. He quit the day after a tough loss, and this statement to the media.
It'll be very hard for me to adjust, and there's some reflections that I have to go through, myself and with my wife.
You know what they say, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the coaching.
I've coached for 29 years. I've never, because of the burnout aspect, felt like giving up the game.
Denny Green says avoiding burnout is just like putting together an offensive game plan. You need good balance, and Denny's balance comes from his family.
Every Thursday we go out to dinner, and every Friday we go to a matinee and movies. And besides that, you're coming to work at 6 o'clock in the morning and getting home at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. But if you have that kind of perspective and have a little more balance, I think you can deal with the winning and losing a lot better.
Denny's philosophy is simple. Plan your work and work your plan. It doesn't make losses any easier to take, but it's helped him survive in a business that produces more has-beens than legends.
My background, I've been with Bill Walsh, and we relied much more on the teaching aspect. We've never had any guys that sleep in the office, any of those things like that. I mean, it's just not our style.
That's why working for Denny is so good, because Denny knows that you need to get away from it. You need to sometimes, get your rest and not worry so much about beating yourself down in the off season. He gives us our rest, and I think he understands the coach's burnout.
By the way, do you know what Mike Tice does to get away from it all? He coaches. He coaches his son's baseball and basketball teams. Talk about stress. Well, since the Vikings are celebrating their 40th anniversary tonight, we thought we'd use this show to take a look at the 5 most memorable moments in Vikings history. Now, it's tough to single out 5 moments in 40 years of Minnesota Vikings football, but we thought we'd give it a shot. So we start our countdown tonight with moment number 5.
At defensive tackle were perennial All-Pro Alan Page and strongman Gary Larson. At end were All-Pro Carl Eller and Captain Jim Marshall, the Iron Man.
These are more than just names in Vikings country. These are the Purple People Eaters, one of the best nicknames and one of the best defensive lines of all time. The Purple People Eaters led a dominating defense that was a big key to the Vikings' glory years. Their fearlessness and determination is etched in the minds of opposing quarterbacks and Viking fans forever.
Stay on top of the Viking drive toward a championship season with Vikings Love and Just Right.
Our 4th most memorable moment in Vikings history, the 1998 season. It was the Vikings' best regular season ever and featured the arrival of a guy who could only be described as Mossum.
There are going to be nightmares for cornerbacks in the NFL.
Randy Moss is the best young receiver that I have seen, maybe ever.
The Vikings fell 1 game short of the Super Bowl that season, but 1998 may very well be remembered as the year Randy Moss became a force for the Minnesota Vikings. Well, Denny Green is hoping that the Sports Illustrated jinx doesn't work this week, because take a look who's on the cover of this week's Sports Illustrated, Dante Culpepper. And in the article, Dante says, "I want to be the best quarterback to ever play the game." Well, he's off to a pretty good start, considering that he's won 10 out of his first 12 starts. The last time a member of the Vikings was on the cover of Sports Illustrated was Randall Cunningham back in 1998. You would think with Dante, we had some legends in the house tonight, and they don't get any bigger than this. Hall of Famer Fran Tarkenton joins me. And Tark, I'm trying to figure out who's happier that you're here, yourself or these fans who are starting to cheer for you already.
Well, I'm certainly happy. I brought my family up here, and it's good to be back. I was here in 1961 when we played our first game against the Chicago Bears, and now I'm here 40 years later. It's pretty nice.
It's got to be a nice honor to be named to the 40th all-time team.
Well, it is, and I'm honored to play with the players I played. A lot of the players from my era on that team, Marshall and Eller and Page and Foreman and Rashad and Tinkelhoff, White, Gary, and so forth. And it was a great era of football for us. We were in 4 Super Bowls. At one stretch, we were in about 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, and we're a Hail Mary pass away from being in 4 in 5 years. We had the best players and the greatest characters in the 70s of any team in pro football.
You watch the Minnesota Vikings today, you see big number 11, Dante Culpepper at quarterback. He scrambles a little bit too, but this kid's something else.
Well, you know, people talk about his size. I don't even see his size, but what I see is a young man that does what all great quarterbacks do. He makes plays. He makes this team better. And I think he's the difference maker on this team this year. And he gets overshadowed sometime by the illustrious stars of Amos and Carter, who are truly great. But this young man is doing incredible things as a really a rookie. It's what he is, playing better than he should play, and I'm very proud of him.
All right. Well, Mr. Tarkenton, good to see you again, and we'll see you at halftime.
Thank you very much.
All right, Fran Tarkenton, the legend. Stick around. The second half of Vikings Live has a lot more good stuff coming. As say a Dick Butkus or Lawrence Taylor in their history. But they've had a couple of guys who know how to play a little smash-mouth football. For example, guys who made the 40th anniversary team like Scott Studwell, Matt Blair, and Jeff Seaman. Studwell played 14 seasons with the Vikes, and he holds team records for most tackles in a career, in a season, and in a game. Blair was a Pro Bowler 6 out of his 12 seasons with the Vikings. He came up with a ton of big plays. His specialty was blocking kicks. Blair blocked 20 kicks in his career, the second most in NFL history. While the Purple People Eaters were getting a lot of recognition, Jeff Seaman was making a lot of tackles. He was the glue in the middle of that Vikings defense in the 70s, and he made 4 trips to the Pro Bowl. Seaman played his college football at Stanford, while the Vikings starting middle linebacker today is a guy who plays at Stanford too. Kylie Wong is more than just a football player, he's an author. Kylie and his mom have written a book about what else? Football. Ed Cairo has the story. NFL football in their home state for their favorite team. Matt Burke, Todd Bauman, Corbin Lucina, and Craig Sauer were full of purple pride before they put on a Vikings uniform. Burke and Lucina are from St. Paul, Bauman from Ruthven, and Sauer is from Sartell. Tyrone Carter is from Florida, but he has to feel like he is a Minnesotan. You know, they say home is where the heart is. For Tyrone, home is where the football is. Kathy Gerhardt has that story.
When Tyrone Carter takes the field at the Dome, he now knows what to expect. As an adopted Minnesota son, he has the full support of the fans.
I couldn't have figured I'd be playing my college career at the same place that I'm going to start my NFL career. And at the same time, I was happy because it's another dream I fulfilled that, you know, I make it to the next level, NFL, and now I made it, and now I'm making it at the same place where I made it at in college.
But who would have known that 5 years ago? In his first game as a Gopher, TC opened some eyes with 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns. But it was also his eyes that were open to a whole new world.
It was quite overwhelming for me because, you know, I grew up in a predominantly all-black neighborhood, and now I made the transition to come up here where, you know, you don't see too many African Americans. But at the same time, I know, you know, I had to accept the challenge, and I know what I wanted in life was my goal was to go to college and to play football, and now I'm faced with that, and, you know, I just had to overcome that, and I grew to love it.
But let's face it, in the mid-90s, Tyrone Carter wasn't a household name.
What did I know about TC before I became the Gopher football coach? Absolutely nothing. But soon after that, I realized that he was a cut above in terms of intensity and love for the game of football.
And he proved that year after year for the Gophers, becoming a 2-time All-American and winning the Jim Thorpe Award. Those taking notice of his talents included some in the NFL.
Tyrone will take on any challenge. That's the way it is, and that's where you have to be when you're a little bit shorter than the guy you're playing against. And he brings that kind of, I think, aggressiveness, assertiveness to the table. There's no challenge he will back down from.
And with that, TC was back in Minnesota, this time as a member of the Minnesota Vikings. And it's another eye-opening experience.
It's a big transition. Mainly is mental. You know, you in college, you probably got a little playbook or whatnot. Everybody run the same kind of offense or same kind of defense. In the NFL, you know, you change your defensive schemes to different formations and stuff like that, making adjustments. And at safety, you like the quarterback. So now I got to, you know, look at the formations and check it to put the defense in a good position to make plays.
Those that are and have been squarely in Carter's corner think he's making good plays.
Tyrone Carter fumble on the play.
When I watched him against the Packers, the young man seemed to tackle everybody and hit everything in sight, which is what he does best. And I'll be surprised if he doesn't play in the NFL for 10 or 12 years.
The game of football itself is just more important to me than anything besides God. And when I'm out there on the field, it's just like a big environment where it's all positive, you're having fun, you're enjoying yourself.
And when Tyrone Carter first came to Minnesota, he said he was jealous of his friends because they were all going to Florida State, Florida, and Miami. But after becoming a two-time All-American, winning the Jim Thorpe Award, getting his degree, and also being drafted and starting for the Vikings, TC now says that it's his friends that are jealous of him. Joe, back on over to you.
All right, no doubt about it. Memorable moment in Vikings history is a highlight from the heavens.
5 seconds left. First down, Cleveland 46. 3 wide receivers right, Kramer back to pass. He's going deep down the right side, and it is fought for, and it's touchdown! Rashawn! I don't believe it!
Vikings fans had their prayers answered when Ahmad Rashad hauled in the Hail Mary pass from Tommy Kramer to beat the Browns in 1980. The win got the Vikings into the playoffs that season. All right, well, there hasn't been a player in the 40-year history of the Minnesota Vikings who does as much yapping on the field as John Randall, but he still made the 40th anniversary team anyway, because just like his mouth, he has a motor that won't quit.
I heard you barking at it. Big dogs got eat. Big dogs are in the house. I'm ready to rock. Come on, push it, man. Yeah, got my shots. Yeah, got my shots. Yeah, got my shots. 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 Got my shots.
All right, John Randall also does a lot of talking in the Vikings locker room. He's one of those veterans.
Pharmacist. All the pills he take, but vitamins.
You can't be thin-skinned around here.
Sometimes, like the new guys get a nickname, sometimes you don't even know their real name. You just call them by the nickname all the time.
The nickname game for the Vikings is nothing new either.
The man they call the Seed, Oscar Reed.
In purple yesteryear, we had the Purple People Eaters. There was Moose, Boom Boom, even a bench warmer. These days, nicknames have become a little less traditional.
The music executive.
Myself, they call the Quilt, Top 5. I got a lot of names that, as people know, but
the quilt as in covered like a blanket.
Cover, but lately I've been getting it as my clothes. So you know what I mean, quilt as in how they make my clothes.
When it comes to most popular nickname on the team, the winner goes to the most popular Viking.
Well, you got to give it to Randy. You know, people call him the Freak, so hey, you got to give it Randy. You can't beat that one.
That's what my nickname is for, buddy. I mean, they call me the Super Freak. Ain't nobody out there that can really do it like myself, so.
When it comes to the most confidential nickname on the team.
Did you have a nickname when you were playing or when you were growing up?
Yeah, but I would never give it, though.
Which easily makes Coach Green the most respectful of nicknames.
Denny, he the man, he the boss. Boss. That's it, boss. That's the nickname. Man in charge.
Here's another thing about nicknames. They can change.
Oh, it can change, varies. All depends who you are. That it does.
Have you been called anything but Eddie Mack?
That's about it, Eddie Mack.
For whatever reason, I'm the one that seems to get the nicknames. They like to call me the troll around here because I'm one of the shorter guys, and they think I play a low game, and so they call me the troll, and they give me crap about hiding under a bridge and asking for the toll. And
Our top moment in Vikings history is every moment at Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington. It was here that Viking folklore caught fire, fanning the flames, images of Sir Francis, the stoic one on the sidelines, Bud Grant, Mother Nature at its all-time best, or worst, depending on your vantage point.
Hey, you did it for us today, Al. You Moose, way to go.
Met Stadium was not only simply a launching pad to 4 Super Bowls for the Vikings, but plain and simply, it's the essence of the Vikings' glory years. Well, Vikings fans are hoping that someday they talk about the Vikings' 2000 season as the glory years. Man has a good heart. He spends hours at the hospital with sick kids, most of the time when the cameras are not around. He freely admits, too, that he's a mama's boy.
She has shown to me what it means to work hard and what it means to fight through adversity. Adversity that makes my few knee surgeries and elbow surgeries and all that stuff seem small.
So when Robert Smith surpassed Chuck Foreman as the Vikings' all-time leading rusher, guess who got the football? The son takes care of his mother.
I bought a house for my mother before and bought one for myself. So I can only blame myself for how close my mother is to me in Columbus. She's like 5 minutes away. I had her house built and then I moved 5 minutes from her. So I can't blame her for that one, but she's good about it. She doesn't stop overrunning out. So it's a good working relationship.
She shares in your successes though, right?
I'll tell you, it means more than anything to me after a game. Just to hear her message. I hear a message from her and from my brother after every game, and it's made the whole career worthwhile.
I realize how special it is to be able to do something that you love to do, and have millions of people watching.
He really understands what being a pro football player is all about, and he's been willing to give that information to other people. So the sharing, that's what Chris Carter is all about. It's about sharing.
When I do play, you know, like when I play in tonight's game, I'm one game closer to retirement. The young players, they need to appreciate the opportunity to play on a good team.
1, 2, 3, defense, go!
Minnesota's Chris Carter is the epitome of a franchise player.
Let's go!
One whose athletic brilliance is equaled by his leadership. Tonight, he reaches for rarefied air.
They have the count down in the Metrodome. You know, from the beginning of the season at 9:30, and get 9:40, 9:50. And it wasn't a big deal. Then we hit 9:90. I was like, wow.
Chasing the dream.
It's something that I have pursued. And it's really the only thing I ever pursued that I wasn't able to accomplish for this amount of time.
All the guys know that when you go up against Chris Carter, you're going to have to fight him because he's going to fight you.
My career has been fabulous. I've enjoyed it, but I think that the finishing touches will be a championship here in Minnesota.
All he does is make 1,000 if he gets 5 tonight. Chris Carter trying to join Jerry Rice as the only men ever to do it. His wife, Melanie, on hand with their children. 9:95 coming into the ball game. And it's a special night. There's Michael Jordan, part of the sellout crowd, hoping to see history made in the Metrodome. Mitch Berger to kick it off, one of the best in the NFL, although his touchback percentage down this year. One of the most dangerous returners in the game, Desmond Howard.
And what they're trying to do, I'm going to tell you, Minnesota.
Hi, I'm John Randall, also known as Dr. Dre. Starting up front are Mr. Tony Williams, Cash Money Lance Sawyer, and Kid Rock Chris Hovan. Our linebackers, known as Bill DeVoe, are Ed McDaniel, Ollie Wong, and Gabe Northern.
These guys have turned it into a 15-minute short story.
Lions with trips to John Randall for the rest of that defense.
The defensive backs are Robert Top 5 Tate, Kenny Smooth Wright, Robert Griffith, and Tyrone Carter.
Hey, back to you guys, baby! Yeah! 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 Yeah!
Thank you, John.
That's just the way he plays. Yeah, he does. He's like that 25 hours before a game.
2nd and 10 for Detroit. We're in Minnesota territory at the 45. Stewart straight ahead for a couple, no more. Walters waiting for the punt at the 10-yard line. Jet to kick it away, hangs it high. Tip back into the field of play, and Walters has it. What a play by Troy Walters. He's got a chance. And out of bounds. Holy cow, what a play.
You know what's amazing about this play? The run is sensational. The heads-up football of Troy Walton. But the amazing part about it, when he catches that ball, Joe, he can run all the way down. And if he would have fumbled the ball down there and Detroit would have gotten it, the ball would have come all the way back where he got it because Detroit touched it first.
Boy, you're right, Paul. The heads up, not only just him, but look at his teammates pick up the wall ahead of him. And there we saw a shot of his dad, who just has to be thrilled with what his young son has done.
Culpepper on first down. Great protection underneath, and Chris Carter with 1 of the 5. He's now up to 996. The crowd didn't need anything to get fired up, but that did it.
There they are, taking the numbers away.
Well, you know, we asked yesterday, the coaches and everybody, you know, how are you going to get the ball to him? And they all just said, it's in.
2nd and 2 for Minnesota. Carter. 2 plays, 2 catches. Here's the Vikings offense.
Of course, stringer, the QB, Dante Culpepper, the eye boy. Running back, Robert Smith. The big fullback, Jimmy Kleinsasser. The wide receivers, the Reverend Chris Carter, the freak, Randy Moss. Tight end, Johnny McWilliams. Joining me at the tackle is Big Todd Stoops. The guards, Corbin Lucina, and the New Zealand Nightmare, Dave Dixon. Matt Burgess, the center from Harvard.
Corey, thank you very much. Robert Smith with his first carry and inside the 20. Here's the Lions deep safety, Ron Rice. The other safety is out.
When you have a 260-pound quarterback, sneaks aren't bad.
4th and goal. Robert Smith. Touchdown. Got the ball across the plane.
If you have Robert Smith, Joe. That's not bad either. But Robert Smith, you talk about heads up. Here's down the line. Watch the ball. All it has to do is break the plane. It breaks the plane there.
You know something?
Boy, is that close.
He didn't have possession of the ball when it breaks the plane. This is not a touchdown. I believe that that ball is knocked out of his hands before he gets to the end zone.
Boy, and did they hurry to get that extra point off. There's a marker down on it. Joe, that's an excellent point. That came loose. These overhead shots provided by the Yahoo Sports aerial cam high above frigid Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're in the nice toasty dome where the Vikings have the ball for the second time. They're up 7-0. Culpepper. Carter. To the 37. 3 catches on the night for Chris Carter. That will take him to 998. 2 away from joining Jerry Rice. It's the only 2 receivers in history with 1,000.
You know, Mike, you think, well, they're just dumping him the ball. But just think about this, folks. They just dumped him the ball, and he picked up almost 9 yards. That ain't just a dump.
The other thing is Darnell Walker's.
1st and 5 now for Minnesota. Smith the single setback.
Well, he's got single on Randy right now.
Culpepper looking that way. Carter at the 5. Chris Carter now 1 catch away from 1,000.
And wouldn't it be fitting? We saw Jerry Rice's 1,000th catch, okay? That was a touchdown. Wouldn't it be fitting if he got one as well?
Well, Joe, that's all he does is catch touchdowns. Chris Carter, 999. The Vikings 7-0 over the Lions.
Stick around for Monday Night Football. You want game? Channel 5's got it.
Remarkable numbers for Chris Carter. He's at 999 and counting. 4 catches. First quarter of this game. They came out early and fed him the football. First over the middle from Dante Culpepper. Then a hitch to the right side. Another hitch. And then the last catch, which ended the quarter, gave the Vikings a 1st and goal at the Lion 4.
That last catch and that throw was just a little bit too easy.
You know, if there's any way that you call a play, I think you give Chris a shot on this play here. Somehow, some way.
He's in the slot on the right. Culpepper. Carter. Touchdown. What a way to do it. His wife, Melanie, his daughter, Monterey, his son, Duran. Monterey gets the football. 1,000 for Chris Carter.
Those are tears of joy, folks.
From the coach as well as the player. There's two men that have so much faith and belief in one another and have leaned on one another ever since Chris got here and played for Denny Green. He's in the slot on this play. You just got to believe that this is the one they wanted to call. Just head for the corner, Chris. I'll hang it up in the air on you. You've got a safety on you in Supernaw. There's no way he's going to cover you. Not at this moment.
Is it any more fitting to have this throw into the corner?
Oh, it's going to look like a great picture on a poster, too.
It's perfect.
You know, it's just a great poster shot when they do all the stills of it. Whew.
The point after is good. There's a marker down. Chris Carter overwhelmed by the moment. The penalty is declined. It's 14-0. Chris Carter has done it. He and Jerry Rice have joined the 1,000-catch club. Carter and his wife, Melanie.
They have the countdown in the Metrodome. You know, from the beginning of the season at 9:30, you get 9:40, 9:50. And it really wasn't a big deal. Then when it hit 9:90, I was like, wow.
Wow is right. 1,000 for his career. Desmond Howard, 2 yards deep. Cut down at the 15-yard line. Chris Carter needed 5 catches to reach 1,000. He had 4. This was number 5 for the touchdown to get to 1,000 for his career. Just remarkable. In private said they reached a decision on next year, but they're not telling anybody.
I think he's coming back.
So do I. And so does Red McCombs,
I don't know,
just owns the team.
I just believe that he's so. The game means so much to him, and I think he means a lot to Dennis Green. And I think Coach Green wants him to be a part of this football team.
And he's got an awful lot of football left. That's obvious. Berger with a line shot. Howard makes the fair catch at the 25. Chris Chris Carter was a two-time All-American at Ohio State, but he'd been into drugs and alcohol since high school, problems that escalated when he was in Columbus. Then he took money under the table from two agents and nearly went to jail for covering it up. The incident was so bad, Ohio State banned him from his senior year. He went pro with the Eagles, had immediate success there, and even though he married his longtime girlfriend Melanie, his party lifestyle deepened. More time and more money, he said. He failed 2 drug tests in Philadelphia, and Buddy Ryan cut him. But to his everlasting credit, Ryan never divulged the reason, saying instead the now famous line, all he does is catch touchdowns. Case over the middle of Morton. He's got it out to the 43. When he left Philadelphia and his son Duran was born in 1991, Chris Carter said he remembered what growing up with one parent did to him and pledged it would never happen to his son. Later, he and his wife dedicated their lives to Christianity. He would later become an ordained minister. The drugs and alcohol disappeared from his life. Chris Carter is far more than a reformed addict. He has won numerous awards, including the top, the NFL's Walter Payton Man of the Year award. His wife, Melanie, they stuck it out together and have turned it into something special. Herman Moore to the 48-yard line.
Play action pass, and when Stoney Case turned around, Hovan was there. And did you see the first guy to jump up and celebrate with Hovan?
And it's John Randall. John Randall is so excited about the fact that Chris Hovan is playing in the middle because it allows him to get outside, which he really has come to like. There's the play action, just beats him right at the line of scrimmage. Jeff Hardings didn't stand a chance. There it is. There's the celebration from his buddy.
Hovan used to paint his face like John Randall when he was at Boston College. Now they're together with Minnesota.
Slipped literally through his fingers.
Troy Walters is there. In case you joined us late, you missed a bit of NFL history as Chris Carter reached the 1,000 catch mark. The corner of the end zone for a touchdown to join Jerry Rice in a very exclusive two-man club. His wife Melanie and the kids celebrating. Something he will never forget. Now he's starting to work on 1,100.
And by the way, that was a heck of a throw. Carter on one of those little turn routes of his, possibly. Get him the ball, jump up, and then ground it, because then you would be able to have the opportunity to kick a field goal a little closer.
Three-man rush, plenty of time. They go sideline. Moss made the catch at the 22.
Now that was something from the teacher.
You see a lot of Chris Carter in Randy Moss. Around the side. Look at it. Let's go. Let's go. Watch his throw to the outside. Randy Moss. The catch. Control. Out of bounds.
Now this gives Gary Anderson a much better shot at it. This will be 40 yards. Anderson, the all-time leading scorer and field goal kicker in NFL history. He's having a great year, and it continues. Gary Anderson has hit 21 of 22 field goal tries this season, and the Vikings get their 14-point lead back. Nice 2-minute drill by Dante Culpepper.
Nice job of managing the clock and the timeouts. Watch the things that Randy Moss has learned from Chris Carter. There it is on the sidelines. You see him keep the feet in, and remember, just having control. Now here he is on the sidelines on the right side. Feet in. Really plant your feet first, then go out and extend to catch the ball.
Randy Moss really couldn't have come into a better situation. A veteran team with a guy like Chris Carter who was willing to give him all the knowledge that he's accumulated over those seasons.
I don't want to take anything away from Chris Carter, but I believe that Randy Moss
was more mature when he came into this game than a lot of people gave him credit for. He knew he wanted to be a star. He knew he could dominate in this game. He just happened to be in the perfect situation. Strong-arm quarterbacks he had with both Randall Cunningham as well as Jeff George, now Dante Culpepper.
Anderson to kick it away, only 4 seconds on the clock, and he'll squib it.
Now a Yankee. Vikings lead the Lions 17-3. Third quarter in a moment.
It's already been a great night. Chris Carter, his 1,000th catch. Back after this.
I realize how special it is to be able to do something that you love to do, and have millions of people watching. When I do play, you know, like when I play in tonight's game, I'm one game closer to retirement.
The quest for 1,000 is over. Chris Carter making the catch in the corner of the end zone. Career grab number 1,000. And the emotion and love poured forth from 65,000 on hand tonight, including his biggest fan, his wife, Melanie. Special moment for them, everyone here, and a national television audience. And we're just delighted we could share in it.
Kind of neat, man.
Yeah, sure was. Now they've accomplished that goal. What they have ahead of them is becoming the first team to clinch a playoff spot. A win tonight. Let's go to Solomon Wilcox, the original scrambler, Fran Tarkenton.
Yeah, Mike, Hall of Fame quarterback Fran Tarkenton is also a member of the Vikings 40th anniversary team. And Fran, I understand you don't make it a habit to get out to too many functions. What compelled you to do so tonight?
This is home. I played the first game the Vikings played 40 years ago, 1961. It's good to come back for this.
Well, you played with some great players during your 13 seasons here in Minnesota. What do you think it would be like, and how much fun would it be to throw passes to Chris Carter and Randy Moss?
Good, but I had Ahmad Rashad and Sammy White, and they were pretty good.
And you were pretty good also. Let's send it back to you, Mike.
All right, thanks, Solomon. Schlesinger will get the first down for the Lions.
A lot of us little guys owe Fran Tarkenton an awful lot because, you know, people said you're too small to play in this game. He wasn't.
Culpepper has just eliminated one of Tarkenton's records from the Viking history book. He has rushed for 381 yards this year. Tarkenton had held a record of 376. Also at second place in 361.
And quarterbacks have run for more yards this year, over 5,000 than any time in history already.
Compliment to the big guys on the outside. Smith, here comes the blitz. He runs right through the hole created by it across midfield. Ball comes loose. Did they rule it dead? They did. A gain of 19 for Smith.
Boy,
Detroit gambled, and they left a big hole there, Paul.
Oh, that was a great job. James Jones gets smothered, and that's where the hole opens up. And when they knock him out of the hole, kick the ball away again, you still have plenty of time. For the simple reason the Minnesota Vikings are really not trying to go down the field with the ball. Hang it right again, Joe. They're going to go for it.
Case to the shotgun. Sacked by Sawyer.
Oh. You know what Lance Sawyer just did? He just snatched him right off the football field.
He went around Walter Raspy like he wasn't even there. This is what's known as a speed rush. If you ever wanted to find one, this is it. Watch him come around the corner. That's on Stocker McDougal, excuse me. That's the rookie tackle who just couldn't get his feet moving fast enough. And then it's a simple grab and throw down.
Boy, that's some great power in the hands of Lance Sawyer.
He snatched him right out of the air.
If I'm the Vikings, if there's a time in this game when you want to get the ball to Randy Moss down the field, to me, this is it.
Well, you've been irritatingly correct all night long, so why not? Smith, they fake the end around, and Robert Smith. 10, 5, touchdown. That's the backbreaker, 43 yards for Robert Smith, his second touchdown, and he has 115 for the night.
Joe, almost 3 hours ago we said the big play, the Minnesota Vikings, and here it is.
This is the way the Minnesota Vikings have been able to beat people. One big play.
Gary Anderson for the point after.
Robert Smith, he broke their backs in the first game, a 65-yard touchdown run. Now watch Robert Smith. They fake the end around to Moss, and then Carter. I mean, Robert Smith, just take a look at what he does. Stretch it out, and you want to know how fast he is? That's how fast he is.
Yeah, but we talk about Chris Carter's ability to catch. Watch when Robert Smith breaks back. Look who throws the block out front. That's Chris Carter throwing it on Kiewin Supernaw, excuse me. Everything Chris Carter does. There it is. Watch this. That's the block that springs Robert Smith that gives him the opportunity.
Carter said blocking downfield as a receiver is a sign of being a leader and a complete player, and that's what he has been for the Minnesota Vikings.
And that's another thing that Robert Smith told us yesterday. He said the one thing about Chris Carter, you can talk about him catching the ball, and all the other things he does is block.
The lead back to 14 with 3 minutes and 4 seconds to go. Defensive line.
When they get a guy through the line of scrimmage, and then there's nothing that makes them feel worse than a defensive back tackling the running back and a wide receiver standing around. So that's something I've tried to do over the years, is really pride myself on blocking down the field so I can be a complete player, and that helps your ability to lead.
He's all that and more. Remember, if the Vikings win tonight, they clinch a playoff spot and get real close to home field advantage.
That block not only got Supernaw, but also got a linebacker. He took 2 guys out with 1 block.
Rolled up a lot of points on people. This one, I believe, is much better prepared to deal with the playoffs as they get ready to wait for opponents.
It will be a major test next week when they play the St. Louis Rams. Might see a lot of points racked up in that. Chris Carter, over 1,000 catches for his career. Our final score, 24-17. The Vikings win it. SportsCenter is next with all the news, scores, and highlights. For our entire ESPN crew, this is Mike Patrick. Good night from Minneapolis. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. To appreciate Chris Carter's achievements, you must first understand his journey. The road to 1,000 catches was anything but smooth. With the help of family and friends, Carter faced his demons and defeated them. He may have worked tirelessly to become a better player, but he worked even harder to become a better man.
Los Angeles. Pat John Dallas on top of the skin 6-0, but they're doing it right now without Troy Aikman. Take a look at rookie LeVar Arrington, number 56, plastered Troy Aikman to the turf as Arrington hits him. Aikman's head hits the carpet. He's out of action, replaced right now by Anthony Wright. Back to Pat and John.
And slide outside of Winthrop and get enough to get a first down. He's bigger than in previous years.
And he's enjoyed good health.
And he's had to be bigger because remember the guy that used to do that short yardage was Leroy Horde.
Right.
And now Robert Smith has to do it.
Culpepper, touchdown to the tight end McWilliams. Lofted it
A beautiful throw from Dante Culpepper to Johnny McWilliams.
I was just saying earlier how they were playing their safeties deep. That means it's cover 2. Then you run your tight end, Johnny McWilliams, down here. He gets on number 52, Mike Jones. Watch this. You're going to get your tight end back here in the middle against their linebacker. You see 52 is Mike Jones. He's the guy that has to run with the tight end down the middle. The Vikings figured that out. They got McWilliams out there on Mike Jones, and he went right down the middle, and Dante Culpepper hit him perfectly.
And they've got Gary Anderson in to try the extra point. They make it 17-7. Good looking drive by the Vikings.
This is what is good to score.
10 plays, 80 yards. They kept the ball 6.5 minutes, and they got on the scoreboard.
We got
a moment ago.
You were just saying how much bigger he was and heavier he was. He just lost a little of it.
Yeah, he did.
Right there, and that was after the third down. That was after the third down play. Remember, he picked up the first down, and then that happened, and then he went out, and then Dante Culpepper threw a touchdown pass.
Burger.
Themselves a chance to run in the second half. And that means stopping the Rams from scoring. Right now, Robert Smith still factors into the game plan, but if the Rams keep scoring, they have to go strictly pass. Back up to you, Pat.
Culpepper out of the spread formation. Retreats. Chased by Wistrom. Fires deep, and only he can throw it like that far. For Carter.
And had Carter kept going, that could have been a touchdown. That's the thing that Culpepper brought. You know, earlier we saw that he was so big that Grant Wistrom just kind of fell off him. But the other thing he has is he has speed. Now watch right here. I mean, there is a sprint to the sideline. He wins the sprint, and by winning the sprint to the sideline, he can still launch something like this. Looked like Chris Carter didn't believe that he could throw it that far and started to let up.
He threw it at his own 40, running to his left, into the end zone by 5 yards.
You're not supposed to be able to do that.
No. Here he goes out of the spread again. Culpepper is going to take off this time, and he's going to get the first down. And more.
Yeah, that's what London Fletcher was talking about yesterday when I was talking to him about the difference. He said last year the Vikings had Jeff George. And he said you knew he was going to be right back here. He said with Colt.
So it's first and goal there at about the 7.5.
And this has to be a passing situation because they have 4 wide receivers in there, or at least they want the Rams defense to think pass.
Mo Williams is back with Culpepper. And here's Culpepper. Touchdown.
That's it. We talked to him last night, and he says he has 1 run in.
That's it.
He said, what is that, a draw? And he said, yep, it's a draw. And that's what they did. They went 4 wide receivers. Again, it's first down, remember. They go 4 wide receivers, spread them out, and make them think pass. Dante Culpepper comes back, looks for a lane, finds it, hits that lane, makes a move, and then he's in the end zone.
We talked about Kleinsaucer being 275. Culpepper is not far beneath that.
And we just saw the dimension that London Fletcher was telling us that Dante Culpepper adds to this offense.
20-14.
Let's watch Marshall Faulk on the clicker here. You know, some guys make moves with 1 foot when they, cut off 1 foot. Watch Marshall Faulk here. He cuts off both feet right there. Both feet are in the ground. He plants both feet, going to the left, and then goes back to the right. Because Griffith has him. And look at that. I mean, he comes here, and then boom, plants both feet, and then that is a heck of a move on a heck of a football player.
Who played with him for 4 years in college, as you pointed out.
Right, they were at San Diego State. That's for you.
Minnesota needs to make something happen on this drive, this possession. Not a drive yet. Culpepper backs away. Now he's going to run. And he can do that.
I tell you, Grant Wistrom was fun to watch. He was going all over him.
For a game break, James Brown in Los Angeles.
Pat didn't hit him.
Chris Carter thought it was a bad pass as well. 2nd and 10. With time, Culpepper throws complete. Ooh. Chris Walsh made the catch.
Did you ever see one guy get hit by 3 guys at one time? Chris Walsh, a tough little guy. Chris Walsh played for Denny Green at Stanford. He's a 4th wide receiver, a very smart guy. But watch him. He catches that ball. Boom, boom, boom. That's what you call a trifecta. I mean, his head didn't know which way to go. Watch, it goes that way, then it goes back, and then it goes the other way. You only have 4 ways to go. Chris Walsh's head went 5 ways.
Well, the trifecta, you usually win. If you win,
I don't know.
He didn't win that one. That one.
That's Chris Walsh who won.
Culpepper back. Stands in, throws. Got Chris Carter to about the 4. He's amazing. He really is amazing.
Yeah, you watch Chris Carter, and he just seems to get, he looks like he gets bigger and stronger and faster every year. You know, you'd think a guy who's played as long as he did would get older and slow down, and he doesn't at all.
Look at him here after the catch. He gets about 4 extra yards, and you don't even know it.
You see Dante Culpepper bounce and bounce and bounce. Because the other thing that Chris Carter is he's very strong. Looks like he left him a little early and tried to make a cutback. Usually when you get down here in the goal line and you have that big 275-pound fullback in there, you usually try and follow him in. Now, this is the thing, remember, we were talking about, this is a little different for Robert Smith in that last year, or over the past years, it's been Leroy Hoard who's been doing this work. And Robert Smith is very good at it, though.
2nd and goal at the 2. Culpepper. Carter. Touchdown. Got both feet in.
That looked a heck of a lot like the same play that he caught the 1,000th pass with.
Didn't it, though?
It was down in the right. It was a little roll, and it was the same type of thing. In fact, Chris Parker, he's probably laughing about that and thinking that this is it. Watch, here it is Thursday night a week ago against Detroit. Watch down there in the right. Now watch this one. We're not going to watch this one. And that was his 1,000th catch. And then this one that he just caught looked exactly like that.
He has now caught 122 career passes. 122 touchdown passes.
Offensive lineman over in the right, Tucker and Timmerman are saying, hey, we're all offensive linemen too. How about giving us a little of that?
2nd and 7.
93 rushing yards, 43 receiving yards. And the big number, that last one, 4 touchdowns.
There he is again. There are a couple of moves there I haven't seen before, but
even before the moves you hadn't seen, how about that burst?
Oh, man.
There's going to be a point that he comes through. You have patience to the hole.
Right here, there's the burst.
Burst through the hole and then make a move. That's what he always says you have to do. You have to have patience to the hole and burst through the hole.
Well, he had it there.
Yep. And then when you get in the open field, you make one of those guys look like that.
Almost fell down coming away from center. Got the ball to Robert Smith. No gain.
Boy, did London Fletcher play that one well. He got up. You know, usually, watch how tight he gets up here. Boom, he takes on the guard right here and holds that hole. You know, you say he's too small, but watch him. He gets his head in there. He gets underneath. He throws the guard off, Corbin Lucina, and then makes the play. That's a heck of a play. You know, he put his arms, his hands, his shoulders, his head, boom, lifted Lucina up and just held that hole. Fumbling, and Marshall Faulk never fumbles. But fumbling is something that you don't think about. It's not something that, okay, we have to think about not fumbling. When you think about not fumbling, then you're thinking about fumbling. So if that makes any sense to think about, but you don't think about fumbling.
It just happens.
Yeah, and you just go play, because if you worry about fumbling, then you're going to just look for a place to fall down, and then it's going to happen to you.
Or you're
in pass receiving. And he said, yeah, he went to the University of California. He said, yeah, they talk about Tony Gonzalez. He said, I led the nation. I was a blocker, too.
second best.
They're going to challenge this play, Pat. Has the ball, left foot down. See, he drags.
Yeah.
He has right foot down, drags the left toe. That's good.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I would think if Chris Carter catches it, you wouldn't challenge it. That may be a challenge rule. Because watch this.
He's got him down.
Has the ball, left foot down. See this right foot drag right there? He's dragging the left foot. The right foot is down, and he drags the left foot. And he has the ball. See? Ball, right foot down, drag left foot.
That's picture perfect.
Yeah, and it happened right there in front of the Rams bench. And
so it's a first down Rams, first down Vikings at the Ram 32, and here's Culpepper back to throw. And throwing deep for Moss. And a touchdown Vikings. Challenge worthwhile.
Yeah, the challenge was worthwhile, and it's probably just too much too late. But you know that eventually Randy Moss is going to make some big plays. But time is running out on him in this game. But you watch them. They get in a bunch out here. This is pretty good. And then they start to break. Randy Moss was the inside guy. When he gets a step, you see him, he raises his left hand, and Dante Culpepper throws a perfect pass.
Now, if it were me, this is just my opinion, I'd stop that raising my hand.
Well, what he's doing is I think when he feels that he gets a step, I think that's the signal that to throw it.
But he does it every time.
When he gets a step, then he's going to raise his hand, and then you throw it out there. Now they go for it for two, and then they're going to have to kick try an onside kick.
A lot of pointing going on. Here's Culpepper throwing back in the middle, and Moss gets two.
Score: the Rams 40, Minnesota 29.
You look at this for 300-plus yard games now, most consecutive. The Rams had that record, the 49-51 Rams, and the Minnesota Vikings just tied them. Looked like they weren't going to get it, but you know, with these two offenses, you know that they're going to put up points. I mean, if there's going to be a lot of points, there's going to be a lot of yards. There's not going to be a lot of punts. There's going to be all those things, and I think that Randy Moss realizes that that was good. It's okay, but it was too late. And now the Vikings, 11 points down. Now they're going to have to go for the onside kick here, obviously.
Next, magic secrets are exposed on a new Simpsons, and catch Malcolm's most embarrassing moments ever on a new Malcolm.